Go live.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Caribbean Edge. So glad you could join us this evening. My name is Dawn Wilson.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Ann Marshall, for most of you that already know.
And we must apologize for the delay tonight. Quite unexpected, but part of life. We are very interested in having this discussion about sexual assault, especially during the month of April, because it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And as you know, we were expecting our guest and author, Maybe God was busy. However, she's delayed this evening, so we want to resume that particular episode, which touches so many people. 1 in 5 girls in college are impacted or will be assaulted by the time they leave university. So the impact on our youth, our children, on us, Caribbean descent, is very harsh, horrible, hidden, and we definitely will revisit this episode.
So, what did we decide to do? In lieu of not having a guest on tonight, we've decided to pick another topic so we can discuss with everyone. And we decided to go with bad bosses.
Absolutely.
I don't like that word bad. I don't like it.
Horrible?
But I think we can use bosses that don't know how to boss. Bosses that don't know how to be a leader. Bosses that don't know how to lead in an appropriate manner.
I love how you are dressing that up. And I think, Cheryl Ann, and for our viewers, I would have said that at the beginning of my career. Having had what I call a horrible boss, and we'll go into some of why it's classified as horrible. Horrible bosses do exist.
So wait. Did we move from bad to horrible bosses?
In my book, that bad one is horrible. Because bad is too soft a word when you have horrible bosses. So we moved.
Wow.
We got there.
Wow.
And here's why. I think as an HR manager, director, as an operations person that's done this for so many years, I've worked with so many awesome bosses, so many employers that are there for employees. They're there, monetary wise, but more so on a day-to-day basis. Bosses that come in your office every day and say hello. Like where I work now, every caregiver, and I work in home health care right now, comes into our office. We offer them something to drink. I mean, just normal, decent courtesy. They're coming off the road and you offer them a drink. So it's those little human touches that make a difference in people's lives every day. And then I have the extreme situation where I worked with someone that was so horrible that people didn't want to come to work. I'd have people come in the office and resign because they felt like their health was in jeopardy. And I think for me, I felt that way at some point as well. And it made it very challenging and difficult for me, even though I'm able to comfort employees. And I thought I could make that difference. I could be the difference. I could be the voice of the company. But when your boss is horrible, you'll realize that that dream and that vision is short-lived.
How long did you have to put up with that?
I did it for 9 months, and I did it for my employees first. I did it also because I have children, bills to pay. I did it for insurance reasons.
Were you looking at the time when you realized?
I absolutely,
did you start to look?
No. I was so dedicated to the business itself, meaning I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed the people that I worked with on a daily basis. We laughed, we talked, we had fun, and we worked long hours. However, when the boss was coming into town, it was like a death zone. People would start leaving sick. People would, the more she came into the office, the more people would call out sick. It was very difficult, unhealthy workplace. Yeah. So horrible is a great word, and if there's a word worse than horrible to describe her, I would use that as well. Yeah.
Wow. I don't think I've ever had a horrible boss. I don't think I've ever had a horrible boss. I think I'm just tired of having bosses, period. I think I've worked all of my life. I've worked since I was 15 years old.
Uh-huh.
I've always had bosses. And because I like making my own money, I always like making my own money. I never liked depending on anyone. My mother always said, out of her 5 children, if it's the one child that never asked for anything, it was me. So this is why I felt like I had to work from since 15 years old, because I didn't want to have to ask for anything.
Yeah.
I've never had a horrible boss, but I do remember my first boss. My first boss, I think it was sales. It was so long ago. And I want to think it was sales we were doing. And he was basically talking about the customers. You know how in the US, the customer is always right?
Mm-hmm.
In Trinidad, not for him, but in Trinidad, it's not like that. I don't know how it is in Jamaica. But in Trinidad, the customer is not always right. You don't always bow down
Yeah.
to the customer. So much that I have to get used to it when I go back there to visit.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to get used to it, but that's a whole other show.
Oh, yeah.
We can do a
Service.
show on that. Yeah, we can so do a show on that. But this boss, I think it was sales, honestly, and I think he was so upset about having bad customers that he actually told us, and I'm so not making this up, it has stuck in my head. He actually told us that, we better know when to tell them, whoever it is that's giving us a hard time on our workday, customer, vendor, whoever, that you better know your stinking place. And he says stinking with you better know your stinking place,
Wow.
So that kind of boss, I thought to myself, is this what I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life working?
Mm-hmm.
But no, that was just a rare. I've never had to deal with a horrible boss. I've never had to deal with anyone with that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn to know them and get to know what their likes and dislikes are, and when is a good time to approach them with certain things that I needed. And everybody has a different personality. I've never met a boss with the type of personality that you just spoke of.
Yeah.
Never, thank God. Because it would
I've
not
never
work out.
either.
It would not have worked out.
Yeah. And I have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
I do.
Clearly. I think from what I've gotten to know you, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
My patience level is probably non-existent. I was always like that, but I find as I'm getting older, it's getting even worse. I don't know if it's maybe menopause. I don't know what it is. But my patience level that did not exist is even, I don't even know what it is now. So for me to have, thank God right now my boss is my husband, because I work in the family business.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God for that, and thank God he's known me for the last 26 years, so he knows how to handle me.
Yeah.
And the other way around, vice versa. I know exactly how to handle him. Not saying that we don't get into little bits of challenges, but he is the best boss that I have had, and
Wow.
and yeah, he's great. He's great. And he reminds me of the boss that I had before for like about 3 years. He reminds me so much of him, and to be quite honest, the way life is, I feel like if the job that I had in corporate before I moved into our family business prepared me for what I'm doing today with our family
Absolutely.
business. Life is like that.
Mhm.
Life is like that. And the boss that I had as well, he's very much like my husband. Love him to pieces when I tell you, but in the beginning it did not start off like that. In the
Yeah.
beginning we were not even close to understanding each other. Yeah,
Wow.
we were at each other.
So I'm glad it turned out well then.
Exactly. I love him to pieces. I went to visit him recently. He picked me up off the floor. He hugged me. He swung me around. But it took us a while to get to that point. So I think bosses, bad bosses, I think you kind of have to learn their personalities.
Absolutely.
Again, your situation is an exception.
It is totally.
It is an exception, but I think it's learning the personalities, learning what they've been through, learning what they like, what they don't like, and working towards them. They have to learn yours too. I remember telling Benjamin, that my last boss, I remember telling him, you know what, I'm learning you and I'm seeing what you like and what you don't like. And he said it before I could even say it, but I was like, wow. And he's like, well, it goes both ways. I'm also learning what you like and what you don't like.
Appreciation of each other, right?
He is a darling. Let me tell you, I think the best boss that I ever had in my entire life, and I've been through.
What makes a boss a bad boss or a horrible boss?
I'm gonna let you go first because I've been rambling. So I'm gonna let you go first.
So for me, a bad boss is just someone that you don't have, most of your employees can't approach. I mean, I think depending on the industry you work in as well, it can be different, where you're more down to earth, you're more relaxed based on your position in the company as well. That also makes a difference as well, how you rap with each other. However, for me, going to that one experience I had, because I've had amazing bosses for different reasons, and when you have hardworking employees, no one was not dedicated to work or working hard, and just for me was the atmosphere that you create, the tension you create when you walk in a room, that you're not approachable, or for those that are approaching you are, people that you may have spying for you in the company or tattletaling against other employees to feed your negative energy. And so I think, when you're in that situation, it's very difficult, because at the end of the day, your employees matter. At the end of the day, it's not even just your employee, it's their entire family. And when as a boss you can come in and scream and yell at your employees, use profanity with your employees in a corporate setting, it's just, not the form that I want to work in as a professional. And yes, I stayed there way longer than I should have, because I thought I could make a difference. And then when I thought about getting out, it was, the typical things that weigh on us as, families. You have bills to pay. How are you going to pay your bills as a single mom? Your kid is an athlete away in college, and you need your health insurance to cover you through the end of the month. So those decisions don't come easy for you to walk off a job that you believe that you can make an impact on people's lives. So for me, a horrible boss is just someone that is, for whatever their own sadness in life, and you hear, from within that it extends outside just themselves. It's a history of it, a history of abusing employees verbally. Money, and there's wealth involved. Money doesn't make you or allow you to be abusive to people. And unfortunately, the laws don't protect employees against this kind of verbal abuse. If you can prove that it's against the color of your skin, your national origin, your sexual preferences, it makes a difference. But there's no laws against bad bosses. You just leave if you don't. I think I heard California is coming up with something about discrimination against people that are obese. But yeah, it's very limited. So you have to make a choice. You either, that person's paying your bills, but if it's not good for your health, then it's time for you to leave, because you have to have your own standards as well. So just someone that doesn't have enough respect for themselves, for me, is a bad boss. That's not open to communication, that if you do say anything, it's their way or the highway, or they remind you every day who is in charge. The entire staff, you remind that. Everyone already knows that. So, you know, amazing bosses, and you can go from a horrible boss, but the amazing bosses is what I prefer to work with. And it's not because the workload is difficult or the workload is hard, but how you speak to employees on a daily basis, not just me as upper management, but how you treat every single employee in the company, and are willing to do things, company events, which is something I'm involved in with my current job, and it just makes it amazing that we have company picnics, we have a bonus structure. Employees are treated with respect. It's part of the atmosphere that they want, because you will not survive if you don't treat people well. And people don't want to work hard if you're not respecting them either.
So of course, you just nailed it. Respect.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a supervisor that I basically just went over her head for everything that I needed. And it was simply because she didn't respect me. And there was one time when we actually talked about it, and she said to me that I'm going over her head, I'm going over to management, and I'm supposed to come to her first and then go to management. And I said to her, you do not respect me. Because you do not respect me, I do not respect you. So I will never come to you for anything. And that's why I go over your head, because your manager respects me. We have that relationship. I said to her, you and I do not have that relationship, so I'll never come to you.
So how did that work out?
Oh,
because I can't imagine.
You and I have to talk about this off camera.
No, I think we should talk about it on camera.
Listen, it was hard. One of the things that kept me in that position was because I worked 3.5 minutes from home.
Oh.
One of the things that kept me there.
Yeah, the distance.
Yes.
The commute, yeah.
And I did make up my mind that I'm going to have to build a relationship with her manager, my boss, because I knew that she and I were butting heads on everything. I could tell. Honestly, I still cannot put my finger on what it is. But eventually she left the company. Eventually they demoted her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Eventually they demoted her because a lot of issues went to HR. We were in HR's office a few times, probably too many.
Wow.
And eventually they demoted her, and sure enough, my immediate boss became Benjamin, the manager that I already basically had a relationship with. I mean, we totally got each other. We totally got each other. And honestly, when I think about it, it was a lot of headache dealing with her. It was a lot of heartache, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna leave this job, leave this position that I really like, because she's my immediate supervisor. My poor husband had to hear about everything. He had to hear about it. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, babe, if I didn't live so close, I don't know what I would have told this woman. I would have told this woman many different things already, and just picked up my stuff and left.
Oh yeah. I had those moments, and my friends, my best friends, heard every story about my horrific day.
But it's respect, though. Like you said, it's respect. Respect is a two-way. It's two-way. You give it to me, you're gonna get all of it. You don't
Yeah.
give it to me, you're not gonna get not even 0.1%.
Yeah.
I'm not wired that way.
And the thing with my horrible experience was it was with everybody within the company.
Right.
From the
So even
the
worse.
COO to the CFO to the HR. It's like our hands were tied to be decent.
Yeah.
I mean, we were decent to employees, but when people come in your office and cry on a daily basis, and the issue is the owner of the company, your hands are tied,
Right.
and that's a difficult position to be in. And what became very difficult for me, probably the most difficult part of it, was to recruit. Because not only was I HR, I was responsible for recruiting. So every person that I called to say, hi, this is Dawn. I want
You
you,
knew
to
what
come
you
in
were
for
bringing
interview.
them into.
I knew what they were
You
bringing
knew
them
that
into.
you were bringing them
And
into
when-
madness.
Right, and when you call and you make an offer to someone, and that person's gonna quit another job, thinking their job was bad, knowing they're coming into hell. And I finally looked at my CFO, because I reported directly to her, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, in all good conscience of HR, I don't know how to make another job offer to someone.
Okay,
And that's bad.
Right.
I mean,
That
it was
is
so
terrible.
bad. One quick second. It was so bad, Sherilyn. I was driving into work one day, and I didn't drive far from work, just like you, and I started crying. A grown woman started crying because I had such guilt. And I drove to work, and I just sat in the parking lot, and I was like, how do I walk into this building?
Right.
And that's when you know it's time. I mean, you knew from before, but you knew you had given everything you could as a human being to this company, and you just couldn't continue.
Okay, so that's a totally off. I mean, that situation that you're giving me is just basically something that's totally out of the ordinary,
Yeah.
right? So let's get back onto the bosses aspect, and you tell me if you had to compare all of your other positions, any one of your other positions in regards to who you had as a boss, and what did you actually encounter with your
Nothing like
experiences?
that. All my other experiences were positive.
Oh, great. Great.
Most of them
That's
is
good to
because
know.
the company closed down.
Good to know.
And one company that I enjoyed working with for 7 years, it's a bunch of brothers that had a magazine subscription company, and they brought me in as their operations director. Still friends with them now, but when obviously the economy turned, magazines weren't being sold anymore. People are now reading online, so they went out of business. He also opened a home health company.
Okay.
So great relationships.
What did you like about those relationships?
The
First and
communication, how they treated every single
I like
person
that.
in
I like
the
that
company.
communication. You
Yeah.
nailed it.
Communication,
right there.
respect.
Communication and respect. I mean, that's what
Absolutely.
good bosses are like. That's what good. Oh, we have a time. Let's check to see what everybody's saying. Is there anyone that
know.
we need to consult
So
with?
Judith says, I've been blessed with wonderful bosses since I've been in Florida. I will not tolerate disrespect. Absolutely. Thank you, Judith. I did it for way too
Judy,
long.
I'm the same way. I'm big on respect. I'm big on respect. And that's with every relationship in my life. Yes, it's with bosses, but that's with my
Yeah.
friendships, that's with my husband, that's with my children, that's with everybody. I'm big on respect. Give it to me, and you're gonna get all of it right back
I
from
agree
me.
with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Joan also said, not be a yes person to everything. Start setting standards for yourself and learn to say no and mean no. Michelle, hey ladies.
You're right, Joan. Standards.
Yeah.
Standards. Not just because we are your employees, it means that we have no standards and that there are no standards for us to basically live by.
Yeah. And then Michelle Hussein, who I worked with at Bell South Mobility years ago, chimed in. She says, hey ladies, BMI for me was the best company job ever. Taught us everything, especially best customer service ever. Taught me everything about good customer service, and she's absolutely right. That was a great
Who's
company.
saying this?
Michelle Hussein from Atlanta.
Michelle, it sounds like if you're big on customer service, so am I.
Yeah.
All of my jobs have been customer service oriented, and I want to say that some years I didn't do too good at it, but I think eventually I kind of got the hang of it, and I'm big on customer service as well. So much that I'm probably the best customer ever, but I go there and I kind of look at what other people are doing and if they're treating their customers the way that they should be treated. So I get it.
Yeah, and customer service for me, Michelle is right on that.
Mm-hmm.
We learned so much
Huge.
from working in corporate America at a young age, how to treat customers.
Yeah.
And we had fun at Bell South, which was part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it does teach you throughout your career.
Yes.
Because customer service is not just that customer on the phone; it's also every person you interact with internally, being able to give them that customer service. So true about
that respect and communication.
Yeah. So I think we're about to wrap up tonight's show.
Is there anyone else that we should say hello to?
William McCormick, a first-time viewer. I've always tried to be a good boss. I have been in healthcare for 30 years, and each of my 5 different companies, I've treated all my employees with the highest level of respect and supported helping them reach their fullest potential. And nice to see you chiming in, William. And absolutely, you told me this when I met you, and certainly know that your employees appreciate you, because there's nothing better than having a great boss and a great company, because you set the tone for your company, and that people want to come to work every day and enjoy being at work, and that they work even harder for you. They don't even want to call out
Well
sick.
said. They work harder for you.
Yes.
You show that respect. You show that appreciation. William, you show that appreciation. You show that respect. Your employees want to do more. They want to do more. They want to do more.
Well, we want to wrap up and
Final thoughts?
thank you. My final thoughts are, treat employees with respect, communicate well. Every single person, you don't have to be in management, just every single person, respect each other, work hard, laugh, have fun, because you spend most of your days in the office, and it makes such a healthy work environment. I think the opposite of that is you have health issues, people calling out sick, depression.
They need a mental day.
I
How many
know.
times have I spoken to certain people and they're like, I need a mental day from work. And it's because you're not being treated with the respect, you're not being communicated to on a level that you should be. So I agree, respect,
And
communication.
Michelle brought up a good point, made me think about it. So thank you, Michelle. It was early in our career that we had such a great experience working at Bell South. And I think if you have that, then you know the standards have been set, right? So you're able to identify what's a good working environment versus a bad one. So I'm thinking now about people I've worked with in my not so good experience. And I say, for them, if it's their first job or their second job, there's more to life than that. You know what I mean? And if it's your first job and it's not good and it doesn't meet your standards, then start looking, because
move on.
like
you said, I was just about to say, move on. There's a whole world out there. For me, it wasn't Bell South. For me, it was American Airlines. American Airlines taught me how to treat a customer. They did. Even though I want to say I was going through a lot in my life at that point in time, and I probably wasn't able to fully carry it out, but their training has taken me through everywhere that I am in my life right now. And I commend American Airlines for that. Your training on customer service was immaculate.
Awesome. So like Joan, one of our viewers, has said, we're transparent at the table. So welcome to another episode of the Caribbean Edge as we discuss it at the transparent glass table.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being the best part of the Caribbean Edge. Thank you for your patience. We apologize, and hopefully we'll be able to get Julie on the show in the future so we can have this this topic that we think truly needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. Have a great evening.
Ciao for now and take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Not bad, it's up and down.
Very good. That's very good.
Power down. Just in case. Yeah.